Hello, brothers and sisters. Thanks for joining me in Anchor Point, Alaska, from my log cabin somewhere on the banks of the Anchor River in North America's farthest west highway point. So, the first reading that I'm going to do for us is an Orthodox reading. I'm an Orthodox Christian in the Old Rite Orthodox. Oh, God cares for birds. So, just got home a little while ago from doing my work this morning. I had to get a bunch of stuff taken care of, some supplies I needed to store some stuff because we've got a lot of snow coming this whole week and kind of needed to get prepared. So this first reading I'm going to do for us is from Sergei Suryubin. How God cares for birds. Mushroom picking. Listen, Len, I said thoughtfully to my wife, prying a pile of golden leaves with pleasure with my black rubber boot. Just think about it. You and I met for the first time some pathetic 28 years ago, and we have already experienced so many wonderful events. Well, yes, she nodded in agreement. We walked through the wonderful October forest, quietly enjoying the peace and complete solitude. Forest birds were chirping around, and tall pines somewhere above were doing their best to block the clear blue sky from us. But they did not succeed. The sky blue was still clearly visible through their dark green peaks. With the bright rays of the sun breaking through the thickness of the forest, fell on the road, creating an intricate play of shadows on it. The vibes of mutual love literally hung in the air, invisibly enveloping and dissolving in us. Actually, today we came here for mushrooms. True, this is a strong word for mushrooms. Here for half an hour we have been peering under each leaf, but we find nothing but neatly cut mushroom legs. Flynn, don't you think that someone has already robbed you and me yesterday? Disgrace. Nothing can be left unattended. I walked angrily, waving some long, crooked branch. I prepared it to protect my beloved from stray bears. Lately, there have been too many of them to wander around our semi-steppe Ulyanovsk region. I think that under such reliable protection, my wife felt absolutely safe. Do you remember, she suddenly replied dreamily, oh, in the early 2000s, we once got out into the forest with our children. Did you still film us then? Of course, can you forget that? Indeed, the children were still very small, sweet, and spontaneous. In the forest, they had fun, fooled around, grimaced, and with such great surprise made some great discoveries for themselves. Do you remember I said how the six of us went to Novorossiysk in our car in the summer, and a year later to St. Petersburg? Howdy, everybody. Thanks for joining. And how on the way back from the south, somewhere near Vorozna, right in the field on melons, we bought a bunch of ripe watermelons, remember? And how the children ate them right there. We interrupted each other. Of course I remember. And how one of our little daughters, I reminded my wife, once ran into the forest, into a clearing, waved her hands and shouted enthusiastically, I'm a little bird, I'm a little bird. But she did it a little differently then, her wife said with a smile. I'm a little, happiness, an ideal. It's a pity that we understand this only many years later. It's a bit of shame that then the beauty of those events was overshadowed by routine and everyday vanity. Yes, I wish I could ever learn to feel the presence of happiness here and now. Boots. Here's a mushroom, Lena exclaimed enthusiastically. And sure enough, a cute and thick mushroom was looking at us from under some unsightly leaf. Milk, mushrooms, I identified him solemnly. Come here, my good one, whispered my satisfied wife, gently placing him in an empty basket. However, no matter how long we wandered, it did not bring us any luck. The mushroom season was apparently over. To clear our conscience, we moved to a couple more places, but even then, we were met by a completely empty forest. Well, Mommy, I said to my wife, let's go home to the children. Let's go, she agreed, exhaling in disappointment. Walking in the forest in high rubber boots was a convenient and safe, but pressing the pedals of the car was not so much. I changed my shoes and got behind the wheel. On the highway, I quickly picked up speed, and only slightly unusual sound coming from nowhere slightly attracted attention. The door is closed a little tightly, I noted mechanically. Well, okay. Meanwhile, having covered most of the way, we stopped at a traffic light. In front was a chain of standing cars, and between me and them was a zebra crossing of a pedestrian crossing. Looks at his wife. That woman over there is waving something at you. I looked. Indeed, on the opposite side of the suburban highway, inside the bus stop, a woman was standing and desperately making some incomprehensible signs with her hand. Either drive ahead or something else. I turned away indifferently. When I looked at her again, she continued to wave at me again. I even got a little angry. I, the driver, in her opinion, should drive onto the pedestrian zebra and stand there. I will be fined for this. What does she want from us? I had to roll down the window. Boot, boot, I heard. Your boot is stuck in the door. I immediately opened my door. Exactly. A brand new black rubber boot obediently fell from the door onto the asphalt. Oh, that's why my door is so closed so tightly in the field, flashed through my head, and the incomprehensible sound now also clearly came from the boot. It's funny, I thought cheerfully. I immediately imagined how oncoming drivers laughed when they saw me with a boot dangling in the door. However, the green traffic light turned on and the flow of cars took off. We also rushed. Len, please throw it in the back seat where the second boot lies. I asked my wife without turning around, handing her the boot. We drove onto the main highway and confidently moved to Ulyanovsk in dense flow of cars. Meanwhile, the wife looked around in the back of the car and was a little confused in silence. Sergei, there seems to be no second boot at all. I think so, there is none. Turning to the nearest gas station and stopping the car, I turned back myself and searched the entire cabin, and sure enough, we really did not find the second boot. That's it. Listen, it means that it's still there in the field. Let's go back. It's new, not worn at all. And we are not so rich as to throw away expensive boots. My wife frowned a little, wrinkled her nose, but still resigned. All right, let's go. Or there were two of them in the door, and one fell out on the highway, I thought as I went. Somehow we turned around. I had to get almost to Ulyanovsk and turn. All the way back then, my wife and I carefully peered at the roadsides, but in vain. The second boot was nowhere to be seen. And only when we turned off the highway to our forest and drove a little along its edge, we were happy to see the desired picture ahead. My second boot was still lying where our car started home. Hooray, I found it. My heart was relieved. Well, at least they didn't come back in vain. Bird. However, the miracles continued. Suddenly, not far from the left boot, we saw a strange picture right on the forest road. A large bird was timidly jumping on the ground with some strange wing. It could not fly, but only rushed on the ground, menacingly flapping its huge wings. One of its wings was normal and the other seemed to be broken. It was unnatural, sticking up at an angle, hunched over, and apparently causing great pain. Look, Lena, the wing is like a rib of a broken umbrella. We stopped and waited. How would this large and powerful bird behave? But the bird also stopped running away. We got a little closer and she stepped back. Finally, I got out of the car and began to walk slowly from afar around her side. The bird did not move. She only turned her head slightly, watching me warily. The bird turned out to be quite decent size. The wingspan is about 1.5 meters, and its beak is very similar to an eagle. Gradually, I walked around the eagle from behind and approached it cautiously. Our eyes met. The bird was intensely peering at me with its slightly yellow eyes. Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you, I said to him kindly and calmly. And the eagle seemed to understand me. There came a moment when I stretched out my arms to him and he meekly allowed himself to be embraced. With difficulty folding its widespread wings into a ball, I carefully carried her to the car. Lena, take the child, I said to my wife, satisfied, handing over the bird. She got into the car a little afraid, began to try to grab him, coming on her lap. But he suddenly spreaded his wings for half of the car, and almost escaped from her hands with an angry peck. Lena was frightened, but she restrained the bird, and suddenly I heard her scream, "Ow!" The bird grabbed her hand with its long curved claws so hard that it pierced almost through. Blood came out instantly. What a hooligan, I thought about the eagle. He sat quietly with me and almost crippled my wife. Some kind of misogynist. We had to take a blue plastic bucket out of the trunk and put our robber there. My wife is in pain. She almost cries, "Let's go." But the nearest settlements are very far away. Meanwhile, she desperately needs medical care. We pray and sometimes pacify our hooligan in its plastic bucket. However, he listens to me as if he feels something. A what? Quiet? A robber? I am ashamed of the poor guy and slowly stroke the eagle's scruff and head. And suddenly, in the middle of the empty fields at a large intersection of suburban roads, we see two ambulances at once. They stood on the side of the road next to each other and passed a bedridden patient from one to the other. And here we are. "Yes, of course, we will help your wife," one of the nurses answered me briskly and kindly. "Now we will only transfer the patient. Are you from Ulyanovsk? And of course, you don't have a medical policy with you." "You're right, no." "Well, nothing. If you wish, you can go to our district center and give her a tetanus injection. We have normal doctors there. They don't get into the car." The girl chirped sweetly, treating his wife's laceration. "They will do it without a policy." My wife and I looked at each other. Did we imagine it or what? For us, it was a real culture shock. The obscenity in the mouth of this pretty young nurse sounded so unexpected, but so natural and organic, that for some reason I immediately wanted to go to her doctors. "All right, we'll make it home, or we won't do it at all." My wife and I decided after consulting. We crossed the wound and drove off to the veterinary clinic. And here we are again on the road, again moving to the city, but already the three of them. We take our hooligan to the veterinary clinic. "Len, what do you think happened to him? Why is his wing broken?" "Near the highway, he apparently swooped down on a mouse and got hit by a passing car." "I think so. It seems right. If we hadn't picked him up here today by the forest, he would have died, either from hunger or from forest predators. You can't jump far from a fox." While we were driving, we sent a photo of the bird to our daughter, and she quickly contacted some major Ulyanovsk ornithologist. He unmistakably determined the bird is a buzzard. "A buzzard," I said, and I thought the eagle. They decided to take him to the nearest veterinary clinic or to the station of young naturalists. However, my daughter had already contacted the Ulyanovsk Zoo, which is on the upper terrace, and we were already waiting there. I had to make a healthy detour and go beyond the Volga. Ulyanovsk Zoo. The open beams of the Volga bridge flash above our heads, and their jumping shadow greatly frightens the buzzard. It twitches and strives to jump out of the bucket. We have to use brute force against him. Its own permanent zoo in Ulyanovsk appeared recently. I was surprised to find his spacious enclosures in the middle of a dense city park. The attendant came out in thick, harsh gloves. "And we are already waiting for you," she said. I give her our buzzard right in the bucket. "Will you cure me? We'll cure you," she smiled. "Do you have any more of them here?" "That's enough." "Do they live in your enclosure there?" The woman shook her head affirmatively, carrying away the bucket with our bird. Epilogue. That's all. A quiet, sunny autumn evening was burning out. We slowly returned home. If only they could cure him in the winter, and in the summer they would release him into the wild, his wife dreams. It's a pity to keep the child in the enclosure all the time. I wonder if we come to him, will he recognize us? Sergei Seryubin, January 3rd, 2026. So thank you, brothers and sisters. That was a short little reading. Oh, thank you so much. Just thank you guys for joining me. I'll be back after church. Oh, I'm an old right Orthodox Christian, so my church tonight is going to take quite a while. I'm not really sure how long it's going to last tonight. It's been kind of terribly cold here in Alaska, so I don't know if I'm going to stay for the complete service, but I need to go read. I almost always get asked to read something. And I'll be back and do some more Orthodox reading for us then. So thank you so much for joining me. God bless you all. Don't forget to pray, because we don't know when our last day or hour is on this earth. Just remember to talk to God, because He's everywhere and fills all things. He's always next to us and He hears everything. We need to ask that His will be done in our lives, because the Lord wants to give us good gifts. And He's better at knowing than what we need than we are. God bless you all, and I'll see you then.